And there we go. All right. Thank you, my friend, for setting this up. YouTube not liking me too much today. I talk a big game. We're gonna get out there. We're gonna live stream. It's not letting me. So we're here on Phoenix MMA's channel. Appreciate you having me on. We got a beauty of a slate in a few hours. I'm absolutely pumped for it. You know what? We're just gonna talk some fights. I see a very good YouTube channel in the chat already in PlaysFades Sports. Wonder who that is. We got Quidel saying what's up. Better cash or GPP slate. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna say GPP personally for a reason I'll explain later. All right, because I heard your stream with Liam yesterday, Phoenix, and I know you were talking. I know exactly what you're gonna say, but you have no idea where I'm coming from, do you? You got no idea who I'm playing, no idea whose side I'm on, and that's the best part because it'll blow your mind with the amount of money I'm making tonight. You know what, man? I say we get right into it.
Let's do it.
I think that we got a few fights to talk about. A few fights. We got 13 fights to talk about, and fights are in what? 3 hours? So let's get her going right away.
Let's do it.
First fight of the night is one of my favorites: Munoz versus Simmons. Oh, my mic. All right, yeah, Munoz versus Simmons. I mean, it's first fight of the night, early prelims. I got some action on it right away. I know you got some action on it right away. Tell me how that's going for you. Who do you got?
Yeah, I actually got the doesn't go to decision here. Keep it short and brief. I think that Munoz is the better fighter. I think he's got Simmons covered pretty much everywhere. Just think I'm actually been really impressed by his tape and just the way he's fighting. Like even the fight against Maness on 1 day's notice, I thought he made a pretty good account of himself. His cardio looked pretty good, and his transitional game, his submission game, just his top game in general is very solid. And Simmons to me doesn't really look UFC caliber, seems to slow down later in fights. So I personally think that Johnny Munoz wins this fight inside the distance at a pretty decent sized clip, but I opted for the doesn't go just in case Jamie Simmons, lands a big shot, maybe gets a submission himself. I mean, I don't really see Simmons winning a decision. So I got the doesn't go at -130, unit and a half on that. Hoping to start the night off with some easy money, but the pick is going to be Munoz inside the distance, probably by sub or by ground and pound.
Yeah, man. I know you said it. He took on Manus 1 day's notice. What's up, Nomad? How's it going? Oh, it's Jay. What's going on, Jay? Yeah, like you said, man, it's one of these things. It's you got. I think people think he could have beat Manus, and I think that definitely was a possibility there. A lot of other things going on. Not gonna get too much into it. It was a short notice fight, but as I said on my DFS video I posted last night, Munoz is my favorite play of the slate. I think that in terms of finishing upside and relative safety for it, he's got a really good floor that I'm really liking here as well. I don't think Simmons is going to finish him, really. I think this is Munoz's all day. It's his fight to lose. He's going to cover on the ground. I even think he's got better striking. He's a bigger fighter. A lot of aspects going for Munoz. Now, money is coming like crazy. It's one of those things that's kind of scary when you see that huge line movement. Munoz with no H. That was actually pretty funny. I made a couple lines earlier. I'm like, oh, Munoz is cheap. No, wrong one. No, Munoz facing Jamie Simmons in there. I'm not that high on Simmons. He was brought in the COVID era as a highlight reel guy for Joe Kakatsi, and worked out. I mean, he's on that highlight reel on the wrong end of it. So I think that this is Munoz's all day. First fight of the night. Get me some action. That's really going to make or break my slate. I actually got a total of 2 units on it, actually, betting-wise. I took Munoz in a parlay, first leg, talk about it later, and I also took him inside the distance. I got him inside the distance at +130. Not as safe as
really
you.
Good number.
Yeah, like I told you, man, it beat line movement this week. It's going good. No, but not as safe as you in terms of the fight doesn't go, but same vibe. I think that doesn't see the judges' scorecard, and that's why I'm loving it so much on DraftKings, is because it's a great card. For FanDuel as well, that's my go-to captain spot, is going to be Munoz. He is expensive, but I think it's rightfully so. I think he's got a good floor with takedowns, with ground game control time, even getting finishes early. So I think it's him all day, and yeah, that's all I got for it.
Agreed.
All right, there we go, my friend. Just going to check on this real quick. All right, second fight of the night, high-level women's MMA. Leonardo versus Gatto. I've seen a lot of people on a lot of different sides, and I do actually have a bet on this. So I know, talk all the trash
Wow.
you want. I know. Hey, you look like a gem for picking Cheyenne Bice. Let me have my moment here, okay? All right, who do you got in this one?
Man, honestly, like I didn't really run the tape too much. I mean, I saw a 25-year-old. Last fight was in 2018. 3-year layoff. Who knows what kind of improvement she's making? I honestly, to me, this is just like a fight that I never will ever bet money on because we have on one side Leonardo, who's not very good at anything. Really, she's not terrible, but she's really not great. I don't really think we can argue the fact that she's not the greatest fighter. And then on the other side, Melissa Gatto, who, her record, the fact that she doesn't have a loss is abysmal because I actually did watch her last draw, which is not a draw at all. But, she looks to have good submission, decent grappler, but, she'll get taken down easily. She won't really fight it. She'll look to work off her back. So, I mean, she looked good on the scale. She looks like she's in great shape, but it's just been 3 years. She's only 25 years old, 22 to 25, that young. You can make so much improvements, and I just really want nothing to do with it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think Leonardo's better than you give her credit. I mean, she was fed to the dogs in her first UFC fight, so it's not something we take from. I don't think she's going to be the next champ, but I think that she can win this fight. Especially, I'm a Leonardo here. I got her at plus 120. Good line movement there because she is around
Good line.
what even money right now, minus 110, right? So it's one of these things where. Yeah. So I got some plus money on that, but it's one of these things where it kind of makes me nervous with the 2-year layoff. But then you look at it, I'm seeing some things with her coming off like a suspension, USADA suspension, Gatto, and you watch her fights. Like she beat Carl Rosa, which looks like a great win, and you watch that fight, and she was getting pummeled. She was getting destroyed up until she caught that submission off her back. So it's one of those things where I don't think Gatto's that good. I think she will get taken down. I don't think she's the better striker here. I think it's Leonardo's fight to lose, and I think the only path to victory I see Gatto having is going to be that submission off her back. Now, can she have made improvements in those 2 years? 100%, and that's the one thing that the one unknown, right, is we don't know what type of fighter she's going to be coming off of that layoff. But I think Leonardo's going to be hungry. I think that she's better than people give her credit for. I think if this was her first fight off Contender Series and didn't get absolutely obliterated the last time out, she may be a favorite in the spot.
Yeah.
One thing I'm scared though is if Gatto did improve her striking, Leonardo's so open to that head kick. Like she got knocked out another time before that too in the regional scene. I'm pretty sure with Maverick, right? Yeah. So she's got some good losses on her resume though. Like that's the thing, right? Is like.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm on Leonardo here. I don't mind her in DraftKings either as an underdog because I think that she does win this fight, and we got plus EV on it too. If like in terms of she's a bigger underdog versus on the betting line, she's an even money fighter. I think she gets control time. I am going to sweat it out if she is grappling with Gatto because she can be pretty lethal out there. But no, I'm on her here. Am I crazy?
I mean, no. I think if I had to bet this fight, I'd bet on her, right? Just because again, her losses are credible. It's not like she's getting blown up by lower level competition. And I don't. I agree with you. I don't think she's a terrible fighter. I just don't really think she's that good. But your number is good. I mean, definitely for me personally, just because of the unknowns in the situation, I'd want plus 150 either way if I had to play it. But if Gatto, again, she was getting beat up by Rosa, but again, she did get the sub, right? She did get the sub. Rosa's a pretty decent talent in the UFC right now. It looks like she's putting together a decent run. So if Leonardo goes into her guard, maybe she gets subbed, right? Like it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I do think if you're playing Gatto, based on the limited data that we do have, I do think that just playing her by sub probably makes a little bit more sense. I think you get like plus 200 on that, just because she doesn't, unless she's massively improved her striking. But just her, it's just not a fight I want to target. But I wish you the good luck, and I think your number is good. I think your number is good.
I'm definitely gonna be sweating it. I know it right away. It's not like I'm going balls to the wall and putting on 3-4 units on this one. I took my 1 unit shot on the underdog. To be honest, I'm not on that many dogs this week. I'm on a couple, but I wanted to get my money on the ones I could, and I think this is Leonardo's fight here. She's shown to be competitive. She's gonna want to bounce back after getting pummeled her last time out. So interested to see how it goes, but it'll be one that I'll have my eye on more so because no money on this, I wouldn't really care as much, right? It's a lower level fight, but I'll be interested in this one now. All right, next one is a rebooked fight. Johns versus Dos Santos. And this is one where I talked about it with my boy D Prodigy a few weeks ago. And we went head to head on this one. He got really mad at me for it. He thought I was stupid, but I want to hear your side on this one first.
Yeah, for me, I think in my opinion, this is a dog or pass spot. I don't have a bet on the fight, but I do think Miles Johns at minus 200, minus like 225 is probably pushing it, probably a bit wide, just because I mean Miles Johns. I mean he's a fighter that like really when I was taping him, I really got a good idea of who he was, right? Especially recently, like he likes to pump out the jab. He's not the highest volume in the world. He's a decent wrestler. He does slow down in his fights, right? Those are the main things I kind of got from him. And he also doesn't really like to pressure. I mean, he's perfectly content with circling around the outside. And that's what concerns me in this spot, right? Anderson Dos Santos, is he a good fighter? No, he's not the greatest fighter in the world. But will he go out there and fight for your money? Yes. He's probably going to take the center and he's going to put on the pressure on Miles Johns. And that's what concerns me. Do I think Miles Johns is a much better striker and a better fighter than Anderson Dos Santos? Yes, I think Miles Johns is the better fighter. But what concerns me is that Johns is very content to get on the back foot. He gets tired late in fights. Those are both things that, in my opinion, are clearly there on the tape. And then we have a guy in Dos Santos who's going to come forward. He's going to pressure you. You know, he blocks shots with his face, so he's going to eat a bunch of jabs. He's going to eat a bunch of right hands, but, you know, he'll keep going, right? Even though his striking accuracy is very poor, he does throw more volume than Johns, right, in terms of attempted strikes. So I think he can get in his face. I think he can make it ugly. I think that's what he has to do. I think if it's just a technical fight, he lets Johns pick his shots. I don't think he really has much success. That's not really who Anderson Dos Santos is. And then again, if Miles Johns, you know, goes for the wrestling, you know, Dos Santos I think is a pretty decent grappler. He could lock up a sub. So for me, I think the line is wide, but I do think that Johns is the better fighter. So I'm not that much. I'm not like rushing to the window to bet Anderson Dos Santos. But if it got to plus 200, which it's not going to, I would play him, but yeah, that's my thoughts. It's a pass from me. The under is actually a decent spot if anyone wants to target that. I think it's like plus 160 just because of the type of fight Anderson Dos Santos gets in, but no bet for me.
I am so tempted to bet Dos Santos here. I'm happy we see the same side.
Yeah.
I was on him a few weeks ago with no bet. I was just telling him he could win this fight, and now that I've got so much, it's like such a better line than I did last time out. It's tempting me. The thing is, I agree. I think Johns is the better fighter here, and that is why I'd rather have my fair share of Dos Santos in DraftKings lineups, where if he does lock up that sub, that I'll get the points for a finish, rather than betting my my fair share on him, because I think that like Johns has a win over Adrian Yanez. He's got a good wrestling background, so you don't expect him to make that mistake on the ground. Watching tape, though, he does make a lot of mistakes on the ground. I see. I don't know if you saw the same thing too, but Dos Santos he's legit. Like, he's got a lot of his wins by submission. And I feel like if you're gonna get sloppy when you're transitioning, or if you're wrestling on top with Dos Santos, it's gonna be trouble. Then again, Johns has fallen in love with his hands more recently. His last time out. I'm not gonna get into the holding the glove or last fight out, but one of these things where he's fallen in love with his hands, even though wrestling's the way that the reason that he's got to the record he has. I mean, he beat Yannis with that wrestling. He's got a good wrestling background, and yet he's striking. So I think Dos Santos can back him down. He can walk him down, put up more volume, win the minutes. But in terms of skill, athleticism, technical ability, I will give that to Johns. I don't know if I can. I just don't think he puts it through. I think that Dos Santos' style just beats him here. Which is wild to say, because I know a lot of people who are like parlaying John and saying how, oh, he's a great piece this week. I would definitely not do that this week.
Yeah, I don't really get the Johns hype too much. Like, he's a decent fighter, but I mean, we in a way, like the Cole Smith fight is kind of similar to the Dos Santos fight in the sense that you have a really good grappler who likes to walk forward, and like that was a split decision, very close, right? Johns also, if he gets pushed up against the cage, you know, doesn't really have that much urgency. It's just, I get why people like Johns. I mean, he's the better fighter, but just stylistically, I think that if Dos Santos keeps walking him down and eats the punches, that Johns is going to get tired, and that Dos Santos could get away. So I definitely think from a betting perspective that Dos Santos is the side, but I haven't bet it.
Yeah, that's me, one of those ones where I'm going to have my fair share on DraftKings, lock that in. If he wins, I'll be very happy with it, and I'll take my points, but I don't think I'm going to put money on it, because I do think that Johns is the better fighter here. Cordell, my guy. All right, top DFS spend up cash GPP. I talked about this yesterday on the Plays and Fades DFS breakdown. Favorite play of the week is a fight we already talked about in Munoz, no H, Munoz versus Simmons. I think he got high upside in both. I think he's got a higher floor than a lot of fighters up there. I think that in GPP you could all field. We'll talk about that fight in a few. I'm not very high on Ed Herman, so I think that Metafield could be a good GPP option as well. I think that going to Fazeev or Gain up top is risky because they have high floors, but I don't think they have as high of ceilings as the others. And we'll talk about those two fights later. I know that Jay said thoughts on Gain versus Lewis. Good play to take Gain, and we will get into that later. I think that the smart bet is 100% Gain. When you're fighting Derek Lewis, the smart bet is 100% Gain because how smart Gain is. But it only takes one with Derek Lewis. So we will talk about that fight later. I think that one of the smartest bets you can make today is going to be parlaying Gain. I think that this is his fight to lose. He's so technically so smart that he should win this fight, but he's got to be careful. So I do really like Gain today. On DraftKings, however, with such low volume, I honestly, not to spoil what we're going to talk about later, but I do expect this to be a very boring fight. I don't know if there's going to be that much volume, so I don't know if Gain's going to get that many points. So I don't know if paying 9.4K is great for him. I think in cash options he's good, but we'll get to that later. All right, so you're taking Dos Santos with me?
But pick as John's value Dos Santos.
Ooh,
for me.
Okay. I think I'm gonna rock with my boy Dos Santos. Despite it all, I picked him a few weeks ago. John's, like I said, is probably the better fighter. He's definitely the better fighter. But I don't know, man. I got this gut feeling.
Yeah.
And we know how gut feelings go. Right? Okay. Next one up. This is an interesting one. This is what I've been going back and forth with all week with Manel Kape versus Ode Osborne. I know you got to bet on this one. I know you got to plan it, but I just got to get something out of the way. We have a complete clash of styles. I commented this when you broke me down with Liam. We have a guy with very, very low fight IQ. Maybe I'm being biased because I have lost money betting on Kape recently, but I don't think he's that smart in the cage. Versus someone with a very, very low level of competition in Ode Osborne. So many unknowns, decently line wide that is regressing right now. What are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I think that the bet here is violence. I have the doesn't go at evens, not evens. I think minus 105, maybe plus 100. I'm not sure, but I do think that's the side just because when you look at these two guys, right? When you want to bet violence, you want to look at right. Can both guys contribute to it, and are both guys going to be willing to throw down, right? And I think a lot of this line is the recency bias that Manel Kape has gone to 2 decisions. He's not letting his hands go, yada yada yada, which I understand. Right, but we're looking at who he's going to decision with, right? Alexander Pantoja, a true veteran, someone who's never been finished, and then Matthias Nicolau. Yeah, and then Matthias Nicolau. I mean, again, when he was letting his hands go in that second round, he was looking like he could potentially get a finish. I mean, Nicolau looked very uncomfortable, right? But so the reason that I'm targeting the doesn't go here is just in the sense that both guys can finish this fight. Manel Kape prior to the UFC. 93% finish rate. This guy has finished 14 of his 15 wins. He's a finisher. I understand he's been to 2 decisions, but he is a finisher. Point blank, period. Ode Osborne is a guy who hasn't seen the second round in his last 7 fights. Right, this guy goes for it as well. Right, he's very long. He's got some power, definitely in that left hand, and he's explosive. He'll push the pace. Right, he'll go at you. Not to mention that I did go back and watch one of his decision fights, and he gasses, man. In the 3rd, 2nd round, he gasses. On the ground, he was getting out-wrestled easily. Terrible positional awareness, just not really looked poor as the fight got extended. And then, especially now, after the weigh-ins yesterday, I like this play even more, right? Manel Kape misses weight. I honestly think that he probably did it on purpose. I don't really... When fighters miss by that much, it's more like they just gave up, right? Or they just didn't try, right? So, to me, I think he knows he needs to win. His back's against the wall. He's dropped his last 2 fights because of his low volume. He's getting a big step down in competition in Osborne. Not saying Osborne's not a good fighter, but he's taking a step down from where he's been fighting at recently. And I think he's going to go for it. And when he goes for it, he's a finisher. He can finish the fight with his hands. He can finish the fight on the ground. Ode Osborne has great submissions off his back, right? So he can get a submission, and Ode Osborne has some power in his hands. So I think that these are two guys that are going to go to war, right? Ode Osborne's not a guy that's going to back down from a fight, and Manel Kape I really do think is going to go for it. So because of that, I do think Manel Kape is the rightful favorite. I think he's the better fighter. I think he's faced a better competition. I think he's more seasoned. There's more to know about him. Osborne hasn't been out of the first round in a long time. But Manel Kape, again, betting him is always risky because what if he doesn't let his hands go? Right? What if he fights so conservative and so patient? Right? And that's the concern with Kape. But I think that in this fight, I think he's really going to go for it. I think he's going to go for it. I think Osborne's going to bring it back to him, and I think we see a finish here. Right? Either way, either side, both guys have high finishing upside. And I like that play quite a bit. So I'm going to pick Kape. I think that the line is probably a little bit wide now. I think he's maybe come down a little bit. I capped him around like 65%. But I like the violence here. I like it quite a bit.
Yeah. I heard I got mic issues. I tried to fix it. Is it okay now? Are we chilling?
Yeah,
all
you're good now.
All right. My bad. Yeah, I saw that. You know what? We're working here. Maybe I'll win enough money this weekend to get a new mic. That's the plan. That's the goal. All right. Yeah, man, I completely see it. I think that the line is a bit wide, though. The interesting thing for me here is Ode Osborne coming down from 145. Ode Osborne should be down at this low division. Lower weight class, sorry. But again, it's hard to trust someone when he hasn't fought anyone. I mean, Manel Kape went crazy in Risen. He was the champ there. He got so many, like you said, 14 out of 15 finishes. Was an absolute beast over there. Hasn't translated that well in the UFC, but he's getting such a lower step in competition. It's one of these fights where we're going to see who the real UFC prospect is. I think that Kape has all the tools to win. It's his fight to win, but we haven't seen him use it recently. All right, it's one of these things where you go back and forth because you got the bigger guy versus the guy who missed weight. There's just so many intangibles. It's a fight where I'm not going to bet, is what I'm trying to say. I lean Kape. He's got the tools. Does not have the fight IQ, but I do think he puts it together for a win here. I think that if you are betting Manel Kape, though, you have to be wary of that first round because Ode Osborne's a killer, man. He's going to go in there. He's going to fight for your money. And he looks big, too. Like, obviously fighting at 145. Like, dude's rangy. He'll do well. Got some pretty good power. Just ask Jerome Rivera. And he's got some sneaky ground game, too. So we've seen Kape getting exposed on the ground recently. I don't know if it goes that much there. I think it's going to stay on the feet mostly. So the pick is going to be Kape here. But if anyone could get what I think it was plus 180, plus 185 on Osborne, I would not hate that at all. Another spot where there's some value there. I'm telling you, there's some value, but no action from me. I'll be fading it from a DraftKings perspective because I have no idea what's going to go on. Could be a sketchy second and third round, but I'm going to be fading it from both sides.
Great.
There we go, man. Much better. And then we're moving on to definitely an interesting one. I mean, you know what? I'm going to let you get started on Jessica Penne versus Carolina. I'm not even going to say it. Carolina. Let's call it Carolina. I've been struggling with that name all week, bro. But let's go Carolina. Let's get out of the way before I start, though. Not to cut you off, but 4-fight losing streak for Carolina. Coming out of retirement, right? I mean, she fought the best of the best, and now she's here fighting someone who you could consider a busted prospect, the Ultimate Fighter winner in Jessica Penne. Huge step down in competition, but is Carolina's heart still in it? That's the question. What do you got?
Yeah, I have a bet on this fight. Just always saying.
And you're getting mad at me for Leonardo, and you got a bet on this one.
I do have a bet on this one, and I just think this is a really good matchup for Carolina, man. I just think that if Carolina is not completely gone, right? She's in this. She is going to win this fight. I mean, if this fight was taking place 3 years ago, I know we can't just say that because it's not taking place 3 years ago. But if this fight was taking place 3 years ago, Carolina is minus 300, at least in my opinion. And that's because I want to bring up the stats here for a second. Carolina Kolakiewicz lands 5.27 significant strikes per minute compared to Jessica Penne's 2.4. That is 3 significant strikes landed more than Penne at a higher accuracy. And Another thing I want to bring up. So that's on the feet. So if this fight stays on the feet, both girls are punching bags, right? But Carolina, for the first time in a while, doesn't have to worry about getting absolutely mucked on the feet because she's not fighting Yan Xiaonan. She's not fighting Alexa Grasso. She's fighting Jessica Panay. Right? Jessica Panay is not a good striker. She's awkward. She doesn't really strike. Now we got into the grappling. Because in my opinion, that's how Jessica Panay wins the fight, right? Making it like grabbing her back, like making it ugly, kind of like the Godinez fight. In my opinion, could that happen? Yes. Okay. But Carolina, in my opinion, in the clinch is much better. Carolina, if you go back and watch some of her film, that girl has some lethal elbows and some lethal knees in the clinch. Like she is good in the clinch. Okay. Her takedown defense is sitting at 75%, which is very good on its own. But before the Yan Xiaonan fight, where she basically just got tossed around, thrown around the octagon, completely outstrengthed, it was at 88%. It was the highest takedown defense in the division, right? So completely stylistically, you take away this Carolina. The only thing that's making this line at a pick'em price is the fact that Carolina is on a 4-fight losing streak and Carolina retired. And where's her head at? That's the only reason. Looking at the skill-wise, Carolina is the much better fighter. And in my opinion, if you look at the things Carolina has struggled with in the past, Jessica Panay presents none of those threats, right? Yan Xiaonan, much better striker, high volume. Jessica Panay, as I mentioned, 3 significant strikes less per minute, 33% accuracy, not a good striker. Looking at the takedowns, right? Carolina, very good takedown defense. Jessica Panay's not a good wrestler. Just because that's her path to victory doesn't mean that she's going to get the fight there. And yes, she could make it ugly. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, I think that the striking and the volume of Carolina weighs more than Jessica Panay, like maybe grabbing her back for like 30 seconds here and there, right? So for me, again, looking at this fight stylistically, if you take away the narrative that Carolina is done, if Carolina comes back with any fire, and she's ready to go, she's going to win this fight. And minus 125 in hindsight is going to look like an absolute steal because she is the better fighter. She is the better fighter, right? She's not fighting a Yan Xiaonan. She's not fighting an Alexa Grasso. These are high quality, high volume strikers that can punish you and make her a punching bag. Like she's hittable, right? She's super hittable. But Jessica Panay is not going to like jab your face off and hit you with tons of power, right? People forget that yes, Carolina has this bad story that she's been gone for so long and that she's retired. Jessica Panay was out for 4 years. She's 38. So Carolina, this old, washed, completely gone fighter, is fighting another old, gone, completely washed fighter. Like Jessica Panay, if she doesn't get the nod against Lupi Godinez, which she shouldn't have, I don't think she won the fight. I don't think it was some hindsight huge robbery. I think it was not a good decision, but I could see it maybe, but not really. But then she hasn't won a fight in 7 years. She hasn't won since 2014. No wins, right? So to me, Carolina is the better fighter. Her metrics are much better. She's going to optically look much better to the judges. She's been training with Joanna. Take that for what it's worth. I think she puts it on Panay. I don't think Panay is a good fighter. I think Panay, remember, she's 38 years old. She clearly made no improvements in that 4-year layoff against Godinez. She got manhandled. Just like Carolina's been criticized for getting by, she gets physically outstrength by her opponents. She's not facing a physically imposing fighter. So again, you take away the narrative that Carolina's gone, right? Because yes, you want to avoid the fight from that angle. I understand, right? It's a very risky fight because those things are very in play here, and it's nerve-wracking. I'm very nervous about those things. But Jessica Panay doesn't really have it's not like Carolina's fighting an up-and-coming bad fighter. It's not like she's fighting someone that's like up-and-coming, can make improvements, but isn't good. She's also fighting someone who isn't good at 38 years old, who's also not making improvements. We know what we're getting from Panay, right? So in my opinion, I think that in hindsight, this could look like a very good value spot in Carolina. I capped her 65%, minus 186, taking into consideration those factors. And again, if those factors weren't in play, she's minus 300 here, and I don't really think that's up for debate, right? I think that.
What did you get her at?
I got her at minus 125, unit and a half,
okay,
on it. So I thought I got a pretty decent line there. So again, that's my angle on the fight. It could blow up in my face because it's women's MMA. It's very sketchy. It's a very sketchy fight, but I do think that stylistically, this is a great fight for Carolina. I think her volume, I think her pressure, I think she's going to be the one walking forward too. And I think she can get rid. I think she can stuff the takedowns. And I think if Jessica tries to get into the clinch, that Carolina's going to knee that body, elbow that face, and just win this fight. So again, I like Carolina here. I know I went on for a little bit there. And I shouldn't be this
Good, you're
passionate
good.
about Karolina Kowalkiewicz, but I think it was a good stylistic matchup for her. So let's go
You
Karolina.
know what? I agree on this one. I don't think Penny's too good. You mentioned it yourself. Like, she could be 0-4 and not have won a fight since 2014. The big question here is, will Carolina have that fire in her again? Because she retired for a reason. Like, she didn't like getting hit. When you're going 0-4 against fighters like Grasso and all that, like the top of the division, you're not going to want to fight anyways, right? The big thing for me that sealed it was, if you're training with Joanna, you're going to take it seriously. And I'm a big Joanna fan. I think she's a great fighter as well. And I do not really see. I don't really see. Good night. Yeah, I don't really see Penny path to victory here unless she's got significantly better with her takedowns, right? So I think this is Carolina's all day. I did miss my line movement, so I'm not on it either. I got like minus 150s in my book, and I don't really want to invest that on a fighter where I don't know 100% where her head's at. I assume she's fine. She's a decent DraftKings target because I do think she lands more volume here and wins a fight, and it should be low owned, but it's not one that I'm really going to target ahead of like anyone else. So yeah, you broke it down mostly. You killed the breakdown there. I'm just gonna get that going, keep going. If anyone's got any questions, saucer in the comments for us. I mean, we're just hanging out. We got how much longer?
Oh, I'm
2
so
hours
excited,
45 minutes.
Love pay-per-views,
Yes,
man.
sir.
The fans, let's go.
Yeah, man. What are you doing tonight? You gotta just have a nice little drink, hang out
Yeah,
with some friends.
maybe some friends are coming over, ordering some pizza. You know, be nervous when my bets are going, especially with the main card. I got 4 bets on 4 of the 5 fights, so
Oh, we'll get into
always
that.
fun.
All right, we're gonna move on to a potential knock of the night candidate as we saw. But before we do that, Modern Warfare MP5 all day. Been running
I
it
agree.
since came out, bro. Subsonic over the monolithic, just the way to go. To be completely honest, I haven't played it in like a week and a half, which is really unlike me. So maybe it changed. But no, Modern Warfare all the way. Come on, man. All right. Ed Herman versus Alonzo Menafield. Okay. This is a huge fight because you have a guy who people love to fade, who's been an underdog for a lot of his fights, a guy, Ed Herman, who's old and who's a meme around who's a meme around my household. I'll get to later. Versus someone Alonzo Menafield, who was a busted prospect at one point. We saw how much he struggles after he gets out of that first round. He's not as good as everyone hyped him up to be. He's been massive favorites in a lot of his fights until his last time out, where he absolutely destroyed the water buffalo, Fabio Chiron. Nice choke there, Darce choke. Was it? No, head and arm choke? Anyways, he choked him out. He looked good doing it, too.
Flu.
Now, we'll just go on a nice little tangent here. Ed Herman's last fight out against Mike Rodriguez. You watch that one?
I did watch that one.
Oh, but it is one of those ones where I was building lines that night. I'm hanging out with all my friends. My girlfriend was there, and I go, all right, build a lineup. Anyone you want. And she throws Ed Herman in there. And this is the one fighter I didn't have at all. And I'm like, okay, all right. Okay, this was last year before Gordo Gambles existed. So we're just hanging out, building lineups, puts an Ed Herman in her lineup. I'm like, okay, that's nice. He gets kicked in the stomach. Ref calls it a nut shot, recovers, subs him. I hit optimal with Ed Herman in my lineup. She won me some cash, bro. It was the funniest thing. Anyways, Ed Herman, old, doesn't have the best casting either. He's very, very well rounded, though. I'll give him that. Fighting a guy in Alonzo Menafield, who's just a tank, an absolute tank, bro. He's ripped. Good takedowns, solid power. Showed a submission game that we didn't really know if we had from him recently. But, like we said, it's going to be one of those things where he does gas out. I've seen a lot of people say, if this fight gets out of the first round, this is Herman's all day. Herman doesn't have the best gas tank either. Right? So, this is a spot where I see violence. I see a great GPP option in Menafield. If you want a punt play, I think it's Herman, but I do think this is Menafield all day. Highlight reel knockout incoming in my thought. I don't know if it's going to go to the ground. I think it's going to stay on the feet. I think Menafield puts him out. He's hungry for that win, and we fade him next time out. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying for sure. I think Menafield should win this fight. In terms of the line, I think maybe a little wide, minus 250 Menafield. I mean, he really hasn't justified that price tag with his skill. It's more so just his power and it being Ed Herman. But I think you brought up a very good point. That's what I've been thinking this whole time, right? Everyone's saying that, oh, if Menafield doesn't finish him in the first round, he's out. He's out of the fight. Right? Ed Herman's not like some like Billy Quarantillo cardio guy, right? Like he fades as well, right? I think the reason that I'm not running to the window to bet Menafield is Menafield's horrid fight IQ. The fact that he will just willingly go into the clinch. Right? Like he will. I'm so nervous that he's going to be punching Ed Herman and he's just going to run into the clinch. And Ed Herman in the clinch, that's where he wants to fight. Right, that's where he's good. Ed Herman is a good clinch fighter. Right, he can maybe work in a takedown. I don't think he's going to be getting Menafield down, considering I think Menafield has really good takedown defense. Actually,
he's a big guy, man.
Yeah,
bro. Taping his fight against William Knight, bro. Those are two ripped. Anyways,
yeah. So yeah, that's what's keeping me off Menafield, right? What I do think though is the fact that instead of playing Menafield, especially if you buy into the narrative that if Menafield doesn't get him out of there early, that he's going to lose the fight, I think you just take the under 1.5. I mean, what's the likelihood? I mean, you're getting, I think it's like evens or something like that. So if you're on Menafield and you buy into the narrative that if Menafield doesn't get this done early, that he's probably going to lose the fight, take the under 1.5 and completely cut that into an even price tag rather than just playing Menafield straight. But for me, I don't have a bet on this fight. I just can't trust Menafield, man. There's no evidence on tape. There's nothing on tape that suggests he can go past one round. Like, there's nothing on tape. I mean, and when he does, right, he's not throwing, right? The OSP fight, although I do think that was more of just that OSP was long, and I just don't think Menafield really could find any way in.
Yeah, Herman's no OSP.
Yeah, and Herman, honestly, in my opinion, I don't think he looked great on the scales. I think he kind of looked... I mean, that's kind of how Ed Herman looks, but it just looked a little bit worse than usual. I mean, the guy's 40. And I do think he is less durable than he was before. So to me, Menafield is the side. From a picking perspective, I think the line's probably a bit wide. I mean, I can't fault people for picking Herman just because we don't have anything on tape that suggests that Menafield can go past the first round. We don't. So I get that angle. For me, it's not something I want to take. I was considering the under 1.5. But, to me, it just seems like a sketchy fight. I mean, like Ed Herman after his last win, I mean, that guy... That was a miracle for anyone backing Ed Herman. So, but also just Ed Herman, like, I know he's on like a 3-fight win streak, but that 3-fight win streak is very not really a 3-fight win streak. I mean, he lost to Mike Rodriguez. I don't care. He lost to Mike Rodriguez. He beat Patrick Cummins in a fight. He was kind of getting pieced up, and then he landed some fluke knee. And then he beat the worst fighter to ever step foot in the UFC octagon in Kadisi Ibrahimov. So Menafield should win. Menafield should knock him out. I do think the guy's very, very powerful. But it all depends on him, right? How he wants to come out. If he comes out conservative, if he comes out guns blazing. I just don't know. I don't like Menafield. I don't really want to ever lay chalk at Menafield until I have evidence that suggests the guy can go over. So if I had to make a play, it would be the under 1.5 because I do think that Menafield knocks him out early. But, a pass from me. So...
Man...
I think Menafield?
For sure. Yeah, this one I think is Menafield. But if you're looking at the entire night, we mentioned it earlier. Munoz. We'll talk about Fiziev later. I'm not gonna say for sure, Munoz. But Munoz is my go-to. Like I said, like 3 times already. Munoz with no H. Okay, we're not betting against Aldo today.
Are we?
Anyways, this is one of those spots where, on paper, this is an easy fight for Menafield.
Yeah.
Right? On paper. You look at all his tools, and he's facing guys 40 years old. He's got the athleticism. He's got the... I think he's the better takedown artist, better takedown defense. I think he wins the grappling stage. I think he's overall just stronger. He's got more power. I think he's got a better chin. I do not think he has better cardio, even though the difference in cardio isn't that much. But it's one of these things where you add everything together, and I don't know how you could really justify a bet for a 40-year-old Ed Herman unless you're banking on him going over 1.5 rounds. Because I don't think he chokes him out early when Menafield's full force. I don't think he knocks him out when Menafield is full force. I think if Ed Herman's going to win, it's going to be late by a sloppy transition into a choke or something like that. So I went ahead like 3 weeks ago when the lines just dropped. I looked on paper before I did any tape study, and I have a bet on Menafield closes up my parlay. Menafield Munoz. I got some plus money on that. There's my parlay. And if you look at it, those are my 2 GPP plays. Those are my 2 fights with my 2 fighters most likely to finish up at that top range. So you put it together, if those 2 fighters win, especially inside the distance, I'm having a great night with my bets, having a great night on DraftKings because that's who I'm loving. And it just works out good. Works out good. I mean, I think Benefield should get him out there early. I think they're setting him up for a highlight reel, in my opinion, or to see if he's actually legit. Because if Ed Herman wins this, next time out, Metafield's going to be like a huge dog, right?
Yeah.
It's his fight to lose. I'm picking Metafield. I got a unit on him, but it's not something I am like super, super confident in because I've never been a huge Metafield fan. I'm even less of an Ed Herman fan at this point. So that's going to round that one out. The sauce a unit on that one. I think that Metafield is the better fighter here. He just got to work on his cardio. He's got some tools. He's got to get the fight IQ up too, Manel Cop style, right? Anyways, we'll
Before we
move
move on here, let me just give a shout out to Jay. And Jay, your girl loves you, man. Your girl loves you.
There you go, buddy.
Much.
Perfect. Remember that, Jay. Okay, next one we going up. I like this fight, man. We got 2 Dana White Contender Series vets in Draco Rodriguez and Vince Morales. Draco Rodriguez 7-2, got starched last time out. I had a bet in Zahibi, so I love seeing that. And then we got Vince Morales 9-5, 1-3 in the UFC. We saw him get leg kicked to death his last time out. 2 fighters who I'm not huge on. Dana White Contender Series vets, with flaws in their game. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I don't have a bet on this fight. I don't plan on having a bet on this fight. It's just I really don't know. I mean, I couldn't really find too much tape of Draco, especially later on in fights. So that already is an automatic red flag. But I see a lot of people on Morales, and I get it. I mean, he's proven more. But to me, I don't know. It's a really hard fight for me to break down. I don't really have too strong a read either way. It's just I think that Draco throws some good leg kicks, and Vince Morales' legs he doesn't know how to check them or get out of the way of them. I think that Vince Morales has pretty poor takedown defense in my opinion. So if Draco wants to maybe mix in some wrestling, get him down, I think maybe he can hold him down. He is bigger. I think he's just like a thicker guy. But Morales isn't a bad fighter. I mean, looking at his resume, I mean, he got destroyed by Chris Gutierrez because of the leg kicks. I think that was the only fight where I was really not impressed by him. He lost to Benito Lopez, and honestly, I think that might be one of the worst robberies I've ever seen. I just don't see how I thought it was 30-27 Morales. Like, I don't really see how Benito ever could win 2 rounds there. But again, leg kicks. Then he had a good fight with Song Yadong. That was actually a pretty good fight. I mean, he only got outlanded by 5 significant strikes. I mean, he was in that fight. He was throwing. The thing with Morales is when he lets his hands go, he's a good striker, right? He puts together some decent combinations, especially inside. It's just sometimes he's just passive. He doesn't really go for it that much. But Draco, I mean, there's nothing really to write home about the guy. I mean, again, I haven't really seen much tape of him. So for me, this is a complete stay away fight. I think the under or the doesn't go might be a good bet at like plus money because I do think both guys have finishing upside. But I just think that I would be on Morales here, but I think Draco's could just take him down, maybe sub him, or just kick his leg off. I mean, Vince Morales just can't check leg kicks or move out of the way of leg kicks, but I do think Morales looked good on the scales. So to me, I think I'm going to pick Morales, but I think the under is probably the best way to target this fight. I was very much considering it, but again, I just don't have a good feeling about this fight. I just really want to stay away from this fight.
Yeah, man. I see it this one way, all right? You got a guy in Draco who doesn't move his head off the center line. He's there to be hit. Just ask Zahibi. And then you have a guy, Morales, who can't check a leg kick. So both guys have deficiencies. They're both guys who I don't really like to play. So it's in a fight I don't want to touch. I think that you're right. The under is the right play. I think, honestly, the best way you can target this card if you want some action, or this fight, if you want some action on it, I think Morales has a good shot to win, especially on DraftKings. I mean, I think that if he does win, it probably a finish because we've seen Draco been finished in both of his losses. He got pieced up by Zahibi, a guy that actually that Morales beat, right? So MMA math, right? Technically, that means Morales is going to win. No, it's one of those things where the shot's going to be there. He got a big overhand right. Morales does. He's got some power in it. I think that his ground game isn't great, but his get-up game's okay. So I know that Draco's well-rounded, and he'll be okay. He'll take his own there. He'll wrestle. He'll do well. It's one of those things I don't really know if I want to lay my money on it because you can't trust either of them. Because if Draco goes out there leg kick heavy, you know what's going to happen. Just ask Chris Gutierrez. But at the same time, if I'm betting on Draco, I'm terrified that he's not going to move his head off the center line because it only is going to take one, right? So it's one of these ones where we stay away. I would play Morales in some GPPs on DraftKings. I don't mind it. To those who want to line up, message me. I just got a DM on my laptop, so I was just thinking about that. I am playing a bit of Morales this weekend. I think I'm going to pick him here to win. No bet though, because I'm not confident enough to lay money on it. But I do like Morales in this spot. What about you? Picking Draco or Morales?
Yeah, I got Morales.
All right, there you go. I know he's a very popular underdog. I missed the line movement. I would take plus 120, plus 125 on him earlier in the week. I'm not playing him at evens. I'm not playing him at plus 100. So I'm gonna stay away from it. I'll play a bit of it on DraftKings. Dangerous. When you got a fighter with such a big hole in his game, it's like betting on what was his name, Jack Phillips and his takedown defense, man. Anyways, the next one is where things get a bit dicey.
Oh.
There are some very, very good fights in this card, man. And I fixed my microphone. Technical difficulties, the name of the game today. All right, you get us started on Fazeev and Green, and I'll fix my microphone.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this line is way off. I have no bet. I don't have a bet. But the line's off. I mean, I don't really see how anyone can justify Rafael Fazeev as a minus 300 favorite. It just, I think he wins the fight, right? I think he wins the fight a lot of the time, just because I think he's going to be landing the harder strikes, right? Bobby Green's a good fighter, right? Bobby Green is a very good fighter. I think Bobby Green has been competitive in pretty much every one of his fights ever, besides Dustin Poirier. And I just think that, Bobby Green's IQ sometimes is very questionable. Like if he comes in hands down, like that's bad. That's bad. Like Fazeev could absolutely destroy you with his kicks. Like that guy kicks so hard. He has so much power. I do think Bobby Green's the better boxer, but I think that Bobby Green's legs might get absolutely destroyed. And I know he can fight in either stance, but I think both his legs will get destroyed. Right? So I just think that Rafael Fazeev, he's younger. I think I think he's going to be landing the harder shots. That's the thing. I think that this is where I see it, right? If you're on Bobby Green, the way Bobby Green is going to win this fight is going to be by a close decision, right? He could win, right? He could win, but I want more of an edge because of the fact that Bobby Green's win condition is a close decision. So you could get the value. Too. Yeah, so you could get the value on the ticket, and he could still lose, right? Which is just the worst, right? So I wanted a little bit more of an edge. I think when it was at like plus like 270, like I probably would have hit that. When I saw it was like plus 250, when I just got greedy, so I just wanted to stay away. And I think that unless Rafael Fazeev nukes him early, there is a sub 5% chance he pays out a minus 300 ticket. Like you just don't fight minus 300 against Bobby Green. You don't. You don't fight minus 300 against Bobby Green. I think he wins the fight, and I think he's a good play. I don't think he knocks out Bobby Green. That's the thing. I think he probably wins by decision. I think he can, but Bobby Green is notoriously durable, tough to finish. But there's no way he covers a minus 300. Like looking at his UFC run so far, I mean, he got knocked out in his debut, fluke. I don't really hold too much with that. Alex White, I mean, dropped the third round, didn't really look that great in the third round. Mark Giacchese, I went back and rewatched that fight, and I think a lot of people are blinded by just like how hard the kicks landed, that thinking like he completely washed him. I think that the second and third round were close. I mean, I think that he dropped the third round, and I think the second round you get 3 new judges. I think maybe one of them could give it to Casey. I think that round was semi-competitive. I mean, he didn't completely outland him. So I think people were just so like, wow, this guy kicks so hard to the body. This guy kicks so hard here. This guy kicks so hard there, that they were kind of like not realizing that G. Casey was kind of boxing him up, kind of hitting him, tagging him. And then he fights Moicano, and again, a fight that Moicano I thought was having some decent success up until the point where he got KO'd. I think he was landing some shots, right? So I like Fiziev. I think he's a very good fighter. I think he has very high upside. Young guy, very good kickboxer, a lot of Muay Thai experience. I think he has like 200 amateur fights. But I just don't see any way that if he doesn't knock him out in round 1, that he pays off minus 300. He's just not a guy that does that. Like Bobby Green is a decent fighter. He's gonna throw back, and he throws more volume, right? So I think Fiziev, and it opened at like minus 150, plus 125. I think that is too short. I think Fiziev should probably be like minus like 186, minus 200, just because again, Bobby Green's win condition is a close decision. That's the thing. And I think he will make it a close decision? I think he's gonna drop the first 2, and I think he's gonna win the third. So 29-28, minus 300, potentially that second round being close. Not at all what I want, but again, I just want more of an edge to bet Bobby Green, just because again, his win condition is a close decision. But I'm super excited for the fight. I think it could be a potential fight of the night. I love watching Bobby Green fight. I love watching Rafael Fiziev fight. And another thing that I want to say is, especially with Fiziev's power and his kicks, I mean, once that guy lands a kick, you know everyone in the crowd is going to be screaming. And judges, man, that could just be enough to win the round, just based on judges. That. You know, so to me, Fiziev should win the fight. Line's too wide, but I do think he wins the decision here.
You know what, man? It's one of these spots where I ask myself, I'm like, out of everyone on the card, who's going to win? And I think that Fiziev, this is his fight. I think this is Fiziev's fight, and I don't care what the line is, because I think he's going to win. As that being said, I understand why it is wide. So last week I went ahead, parlayed him with Sean Strickland. So pretty much I'm getting like plus money on 2 units on Fiziev right now. Wow. So that's why I do not care on the line. I got 2 units on Fiziev. I think it's plus 106 parlay with Strickland. Very happy with that. I think that Fiziev is just like, he is the striking coach for Tiger Muay Thai, which is insane. That's some credentials right there. The man is absolutely lethal striker. 100% takedown defense. I think that Bobby Green's biggest path to victory will be on the ground, if he wants to do that. Aside from his durability, because the durability is going to come in clutch here. I think that you're right in saying that it could be a close fight, 100%. But I think at the end of the day, Bobby Green likes to strike, and so does Rafael Fiziev. And if we're going to do a striking match all day, I don't care how durable you are. If you're getting hit as much as Bobby Green's going to be hit, you're going to lose the fight. All right? So I think that it's sketchy because, we are going to Houston. You never know what you're going to get with the judges and stuff, and this fight is most likely going to the judges' scorecard. But give me Fiziev here, man. I know his name value is probably inflating the line a bit too, because everyone loves him. I love him. I think he's a great guy. But I think he wins this fight here. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he finished Bobby Green.
He could.
I know it's a hot take. Very, very hot take. Because Bobby Green, he's durable. But Fiziev has some of the most insane striking in the whole UFC. Like, you can't take that away from him. And I think that all it takes is one good combination, just like he landed on Moicano, to set him back against the fence, and then we'll see how it goes. I think it's one of those times where it'll be a fight to pay attention to, because it's going to show us how good he truly is. If he goes out there and he starches Bobby Green, he'll be minus 500 his next time out. So it'll be a great one to watch. I got my money on Fiziev. I think this is my guy. I don't think he's the best DraftKings option, because he's $93,000, $9,300, and he's probably going to go to decision. But I do think he wows the crowd with some body shots, some leg kicks. Man, can that guy kick. Oh, yeah, my. That's the fight that my buddies are coming over for tonight. They're excited for that. You're right in saying fight of the night. That'll be an absolute banger.
Yeah, last thing I just want to mention is Fiziev has 100% takedown defense, right? But Bobby Green is the best wrestler that he's facing.
Yeah.
And again, against who? And that's what I wanted to bring it to. We know nothing. I have never seen in any tape Rafael Fiziev off of his back. I do think he has good takedown defense, but if he does get taken down, What if he just doesn't know how to get back up to his feet? Like, what if he just lays there? What if he's like Tanner Bozer off his back? That's a round gone,
No.
right? That's a round gone, right? So again, another unknown. It's just I think Fiziev wins the fight by landing the harder shots, but I have no doubt that the numbers, like post UFC numbers, are going to be close. Maybe even Bobby Green outlanding him, because Bobby Green outlands his opponents. Like, this guy is like a plus like 2 significant strike differential. His metrics are insane, right? So I just think that his strikes are more like leg kicks, little jabs against Fiziev, who's going to be ripping body kicks, right? And just throws so much into it. So again, that's why I'm a bit concerned on the Fiziev. But again, with the parlay plus 106 Fiziev basically straight now, because Strickland was basically minus 1,000. I mean, that's awesome.
Do you follow Fiziev on any social media?
I don't follow him, but I did look at his Instagram, like leading up to the fight.
He's a pretty smart dude. I don't think he gets into MMA without any sort of ground game at all.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're like working at Tiger Muay Thai, one of the best gyms in the entire world, you're going to get some ground games and you're going to get some sessions in there. And I don't think that you go into a fight without knowing that's a potential outcome.
Yeah, agreed.
Right?
It's just an unknown, right?
It is an unknown. It is an unknown, and it is scary. But if you're telling me that if I look at these two guys, who's going to win a fight? It's going to be Fiziev. All right. Absolute banger of a fight. Friday night potential. Absolute banger of a name coming up. Give it up for Song Yadong. Love that guy, man. Jesus. Absolute legend. 16-5-1, facing a guy in Casey Kenny. 16-3-1. Kenny had all the hype in the world around him. He was favored to beat Dominic Cruz, and he lost his last time out. And look at a guy in Song Yadong. A couple controversial decisions in there. I know the one to Marlon Vera was a bit, let's say, controversial. Let's go with that. Lost to Kyler Phillips his last time out there. And honestly, I think that this is Casey Kenny's fight to lose. I know we've been talking about this for a long time. It's the first fight we talked about last week. Getting into it. I placed a bet pretty early. I got in 2 units at minus 110. Happy I did that, because what is it? Minus 140 now? I think. So,
really?
I think it's like minus 138 on Bet365. Canadian
minus
book.
120, minus 115-ish.
Is it?
Minus 120.
Oh.
I think it went up, though. I think, yeah,
it did go up at one point.
Minus 140 yesterday. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyways, this is Kenny's fight to lose, I think. I've seen a bunch of interviews where Yadong's like, I'm going to wrestle with him. I wouldn't wrestle with Casey Kenny if I were you. I don't think that Casey Kenny does to Yadong what he did to Haley Alatang, but I think that he does piece him up, right? I think that he I know, bro, that guy's ribs probably still broken.
Kenny was looking like number one pound fighter in the world.
And that's why he was favored over Dominic Cruz, and I bet on every single Casey Kenny fight. Isn't that weird? I bet him to beat Haley Alatang. Great bet. And then I picked Dominic Cruz over him because I think that was a step up that he did not deserve. If he didn't win the fight in the fashion he did, he would not get that fight against Dominic Cruz. And that's the way it is. I think this is a perfect level to see where he's at, because Casey Kenny has a lot of great attributes. I think he'll do very, very well in this division. But he's facing a guy, Song Yadong, who is no joke. This man's got power. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, I agree with you. I got Kenny for. I don't have a bet.
Yeah.
I think the line's accurate, but I got Kenny here. To me, it just comes down to that. I think this is going to be a close fight. I do think that it will be relatively close, but I just think that Kenny has more ways to win. Right? I think Kenny is the. How do I put this? I think on the feet, Kenny has more ways to find the target. Right? I feel like the thing with Yadong is, he can really only land. He's got great striking, right? He's very fast, very powerful, very explosive, but he needs to be in the pocket, right? He needs to be right in front of you to land those strikes. Kenny is can fight a little bit more at distance, a little bit more at range, right? So I think he can land his straight left, his kicks. He's got great left kicks, all 3 levels. So I just think he has more ways to find the target, right? I also think that Kenny being 30 here, I think he's closer to his prime. I mean, Song is only 23, which is crazy, right? This guy's got a lot of upside potentially if he can keep improving. But I think Kenny is more closer to that prime of his career right now. I think that Song has, again, more power, and I think he's very durable, right? Very durable. That guy's chin's made of absolute granite. But I just think that the reason I have Kenny winning this fight is I just think that Kenny, I think he has more volume. I think he can mix in the takedowns, right? I don't think Song Yadong's takedown defense is incredible. So I think Kenny can maybe get in some takedowns, maybe get like 30 seconds, 15 seconds of control time. And I think he has more ways to land his strikes, right? And that's why I capped Kenny minus 125. But I do think that the fight is probably going to be close and competitive. Again, it's in Houston. I don't know what they're favoring, but I do think Kenny is probably the better fighter. I think, again, more ways to land with the strikes. I think he can mix in the wrestling and get takedown time on Song. Both guys have started to slow down late in fights, but I think that Kenny's cardio is better. And I kind of give Kenny a pass with that fight against Dominic Cruz, because Dominic Cruz is such a tough guy to figure out, man. Like, his movement, it's tough, right? Song Yadong is not going to present that movement, right? Kenny was just having a hard time tracking and hitting Cruz, right? Song's going to be there to be hit, right? That's what he wants. He wants to firefight you. And, Kenny beat a guy in Nathaniel Wood. I think that's a very good win. I think Nathaniel was a good prospect. And really, with Song Yadong, we haven't really seen him convincingly beat any of the upper tier guys, right? Like you said, the Vera fight, very close fight.
I think Vera won that fight.
I think Vera won the fight as well, but nonetheless, close fight. He lost to Phillips, and he drew Cody Stamann, I think, right? So those are like three guys at the upper level. That's not Alejandro Perez, right? That's not Vince Morales. And he's not convincingly winning any of those fights. Arguably could have lost all three, potentially, right? So Kenny, on the other hand, he's beaten Nathaniel Wood, who I think is up there with those guys. I do think Nathaniel Wood's a very good fighter. Was competitive with Dominic Cruz. So I think that Kenny is just more proven at that level to be able to win a fight at that level. And I think he has more ways to win the fight. So I'm on Kenny.
Man, I'm with you 100%. It's going to be a close one, and I think this has also a lot of fight of the night potential as well. I am excited to see if Song Yadong does want to go to the ground. I think that's not very smart for him. I think that's Kenny's world all day. I think that Song Yadong's best chance is going to be landing those more powerful shots. I think he's got more powerful hands. The kicks of Casey Kenny have won him some fights, man. They're pretty good as well. They're not Rafael Fiziev, but they're hard. So I think that this is Casey Kenny's fight all day, his fight to lose, and pick 'em odds. I think that Casey Kenny has fought a better level of competition. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter as well, with more paths to victory. And another thing too is, who would you take in a fight between Phillips and Kenny?
I mean, now that Phillips lost, I think I'd probably take Kenny.
That's what I'm saying,
I probably would line it as a pick 'em as well.
I think that Casey Kenny can, because if Kylie Phillips rolled through Yadong, just bye-bye Yadong, right? So I think this is one of those spots where you got to roll with Kenny here. I could see the love for Song Yadong. I mean, he's got a lot of potential, but tonight is not his night. All right, not his night. We can sit there, have a few drinks, make fun of his name a bit. All love to him, though. Respect for him for getting in the cage. He's got a lot of potential. Not tonight, my friend. Give me Casey Kenny all day. And that brings us to the next one on the main card.
All
Tisha
bets
Torres
from
versus...
here.
You have all bets in the next four?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I know one of them. I'm about to get mad at you for this, too. Screw you. Okay, Tisha Torres versus Angela Hill. The Tornado versus Angela Overkill Hill. And before anyone gets mad at me for saying this, Angela Hill is one of my least favorite fighters to bet on, okay? I think she's a great person. Good for her. She's okay, but come on. I don't think she excels at really anything out there. She's got mediocre striking, mediocre ground game, mediocre a lot of things. And I think she's very, very beatable, right? So I think this is one where you gotta appreciate it, my friend. I think this is one of the ones where you gotta roll with Tisha Torres here. She looked great in the scales. They were getting feisty at it in the ceremonial weigh-ins at the press conference. Sorry, it's gonna be a banger. I think this is Tisha Torres' fight to win. I don't think she finishes Hill. I think this is a decision line. But I'm getting some Cheyenne Buys vibes. I think Tisha Torres could finish Angela Hill. I think that is I think that might be one of my Hail Marys of the week. You know, if they're like half a unit on what is it, like plus 500 on that?
By knockout?
Where is it? Yeah, by finish. I think she smothers and ground and pounds her. I think Tisha Torres is gonna go ham. No, I'm loving Tisha Torres. I have no bet on it at all today. Might throw her in some DraftKings stuff, but look at these lines. Inside distance plus 600. Anyways, I don't think it happens. I think it's most likely
Yeah.
Tisha Torres by decision. But
I think it's plus 600 inside the distance because if someone gets finished here, man, then I don't think I'll ever feel safe betting a fight ever again because, I think this is just a fight that is like 90% to finish, 90% not to finish. This is how I see this fight. I've run this fight so many times through my head, How could this fight go? And I cannot see this fight not playing out close, right? I do lean Tisha, right? Because of the potential wrestling upside and the fact that she is faster. Okay,
oh yeah,
but
mini tornado, bro.
the way that I see this fight is just that. So I went back and watched the first fight. I'm telling you right now, that's not going to happen. Angela Hill has significantly improved her defensive grappling. Significantly improved. She's had 21 fights. 21 fights since that fight. Right? Her takedown defense is sitting at 76%. And Tisha Torres isn't a good wrestler. I think that the reason I have Torres favored is because she does have that path. Right? She can take the fight down. But Tisha Torres is not a good wrestler. Like we're just getting the fact that Tisha Torres is going to take down Angela Hill because she did it in the first fight. Angela Hill knows that. Angela Hill has seen this blueprint. She's going to be working on it. Again, I'm not picking Angela Hill to win the fight. I think Tisha probably wins the fight. But I don't think this fight spends much time on the mat. And you cannot tell me that if this fight has no wrestling, no grappling in it, that any of these girls is going to look better than minus 125.
Oh no!
I don't care. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a close fight. I think Angela.
So you think there's gonna be no takedowns at all?
I think she's going to shoot. I don't think she's going to land. One at the most, and I don't think Angela Hill's going to accept the position. Now, granted, Angela Hill off her back, I don't think is good. Like once she's down on her back, don't think she's good. But I don't think she's going to accept that bottom position at all. Okay.
I think Torres wants it more. I think she wants it more, and I think you're wrong. I think she's going to land a few takedowns in this fight. I think that unless that Torres is absolutely, no, I'm just saying unless Torres is completely like dominating her on the feet, she's gonna want to switch it up because she knows she has that path to victory, and I know she has that horrible stats, but stats don't mean nothing. That's a lie. Okay. Oh, let me take that back. Stats like that don't matter too much because it's all about the past. You're living in the moment, man. All right? Tisha Torres has more fire in her. I saw the ceremony at weigh-ins. She's going to want it way more than Angela Hill does. And that's what I'm seeing here because I think she's going to be able to take her down. I think Hill is very, very mediocre at a lot of things she does. Respect to her, though. No, you're getting in the cage. Good for you. But Tisha Torres is gonna go in there. I don't even think that if she's winning and landing in the same way she was to Hughes, not gonna happen. I'm just saying if she does end up piecing her up the same way, she's not gonna need to go to the ground. What I'm trying to say is if there's a lot of if there's a lot of success for Hill on the feet, that's gonna be her path because she's done it before. So she's gonna shoot and shoot and shoot. And I think she gets her down multiple times.
I respect it if that's what you're seeing. For me personally, I don't see it, right? So I have 2 bets on this fight. I think betting them at the money line doesn't make any sense, right? Because Tisha Torres, if she goes I think it's a little bit disrespectful to my girl Cheyenne Buys to compare Cheyenne Buys' finishing upside to Tisha Torres' finishing upside. Tisha Torres has no finishes. She has no knockouts, right? Sam Hughes, come on. It's a cut stoppage. She has 1 sub.
She would have finished her.
Would she have?
Oh, 100%. She was destroying her.
I don't know. I don't think she would have finished her. But regardless, Sam Hughes is a debutante. Sam Hughes is not a good fighter.
She's not Angela Hill.
I don't want to be mean, but she's new, right?
She's not Angela Hill.
Yeah. Again, I'm not saying Angela Hill's gonna win this fight. I think Tisha Torres wins the fight. I think on the feet, it's going to be very close and competitive, and I think Tisha Torres potentially has that grappling upside. So that's why I give Tisha Torres the favor. But I just really don't see Tisha Torres. Angela Hill has talked about that loss multiple times. How that's embarrassing loss. How that's not going to happen. And you're saying Tisha Torres look great at the weigh-ins. I think Angela Hill looked great at the weigh-ins. I think both girls look great at the weigh-ins. But again, I'm not like all on Angela Hill. I don't have a bet on Angela Hill.
Okay. Wait a second, though. Real quick. You texted me a few days ago. You said you're taking a shot on Angela Hill by decision. Have you done that?
I have done that.
Then you are on Angela Hill.
But I'm not saying Angela Hill's going to win the fight. But again, from my perspective, this fight's going to play out close. And looking, again, like I said, Tisha Torres is not going to finish Angela Hill. If Tisha Torres finishes Angela Hill, you know what, man? You're the best. You're the best of all time.
You know what? If Tisha Torres finishes Angela Hill, you come on my stream, you do a shoey with me.
Deal.
All right.
If Angela Hill's not finishing Tisha Torres. I mean, Tisha Torres fought what? Weili, Zhang, Joanna, Jessica got finished by none of them. So Angela Hill is not finishing anybody. So because of that, I think this fight goes to decision 90% of the time.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I don't think Tisha Torres is going to have grappling success to the degree she had last time. Therefore, I think it's going to decision. I think it's going to be close. Split decision probably either way. Okay? Now, Tisha Torres decision line, plus 120. Okay? Angela Hill decision line, plus 200. Tell me how that makes sense. Plus 200. That makes no sense. You're telling me that Angela Hill wins this fight by decision at a 3% of the time. No.
Are you confident in this in Houston though? Does this make you more or less confident that it's Houston?
That's the thing. This is a complete play on line value. If this fight goes to a split decision, I love my bet. I'm getting a plus 200 in a split decision spot. It's not a big bet. It's only half a unit because again, Texas judging. But Angela Hill, she can't keep losing split decisions forever. Someone's got to give her a decision.
You know what? If you have a book that lets you bet on fight is a split decision, that's the line you got to hammer. Angela Hill's a split decision queen.
It just really doesn't make any sense to me why that line's plus 200. I mean, it should be Tisha Torres decision, like plus 120, Angela Hill decision, plus 135, plus 140. That's what it should be. And at the end of the day, that's what it should be. Because both these girls are not finishers. So I have Angela Hill half unit by decision, flipping a coin, hopefully we win it. Because to me, this is kind of similar to last week. Ashley Yoder versus Jinyu Fry. Right? This is a fight that I thought was very close, could go either way. Yoder's decision prop, plus 110. Jinyu Fry's like plus 220. Why?
And
why
you didn't bet on it, did you?
0.1 units with you. 0.1 units.
All right, you did it together? Okay.
But yeah, so that's my first bet. And then another bet I have is I have it in a parlay with someone later down on the card. I really, really like the line I got on this parlay. So
You hate parlays.
Man, it's too good to pass, man. It's too good to pass. Like, I honestly think that this fight goes to decision is minus 900. Like, if there's a finish, I just don't see how it finishes. How is it going to... If Angela Hill goes out there and, like, knocks out Tisha Torres, man, I may cry. I may just cry.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, we're speaking into existence. There's going to be a finish. This is like Kyle Dawkins fight right now. You brought it upon yourself, man. This is your fault.
Angela
so you're telling me...
Plus 200, book it.
Okay. All right. Well, you're sounding like me betting on KB Bueller, and you're lighting your money on fire because this is Tisha Torres' fight all day. I get where you're coming from, and all respect to you for doing it because you're right. You are beating line movement. You're doing what is smart. I'm just one of those cappers who's just I'm not going to bet on something if I don't believe in it, and I think that's probably a smart play because you are doing so well in line value because you're doing like you could bet. Actually, I want to see what you could do is you could bet Angela Hill plus 200 and Tisha Torres by decision as well, and then you're just hedging out, and no matter what, you're making profit as long as it goes to the decision. Right? What is that? That's something you could do.
Also, one thing.
Or you could be an idiot and bet plus 600 inside the distance.
Oh my! I have a feeling you're going to do a comeback. Tisha Torres inside the distance.
I'll do it just for you. Don't
do it. Don't do it to me. But anyways, last thing I want to say is, we're in Texas, right? So, I agree with you. I think Tisha Torres probably wins the fight, right? I think she probably wins the fight. I think if I had to pick a winner, gun to my head, Tisha Torres. But we're in Texas. There is a 100% chance that there is going to be a robbery. at least one on the card. There's going to be a robbery. So I'm playing with fire, and this is going to be the one.
Okay. All right. I like that. I'm messing with you. I think this is Tisha Torres all day, but I'm actually. You want to know how confident I am? I'm so confident in Tisha Torres that I don't even have a bet on it yet. So me saying this is me saying Tisha Torres is going to win.
I don't get the line now. She's like minus 150 now. If you're laying minus 150 on Tisha Torres, then that's, I don't know.
Tisha Torres should win this fight, but she's not worth that line value. My confidence is mostly a gut feel. I think that on tape, all the research I've done, I think you should not bet Tisha Torres past minus 130. That is where I capped it at. I think you were different. You said what, minus 120?
Minus 125. Tisha Torres.
Yeah, so I give it a bit more of an edge. I don't know, man. I think we're going to see something incredible. I think we're going to see something more incredible than Phil Hayes' conditioning.
I mean, as long as the fight goes to decision and I hit the other leg of my parlay, I'm fine with it.
Fine.
Right? This is strictly value.
Let me guess. Other leg of parlay is in the main event.
Yeah, but it's
isn't that what you think?
It's Derek Lewis.
Oh, okay. Derek Lewis by decision plus 1200.
Derek Lewis by sub.
Okay, all right. Well, moving on to one of my favorite fights of the entire night: Vicente Luque versus Michael Chiesa. Thank you very much, Jay. I appreciate you as well. Luque versus Chiesa. Michael Chiesa. Okay, first thing, right away. How did Chiesa ever make minus 155? Or sorry, 155.
I don't know.
But he's massive.
The guy is huge for welterweight.
Yeah.
He's huge.
Okay, I think we can.
With this one, so.
I think we can both agree right away, that there's a clear path to victory for Michael Chiesa.
Yes.
We've seen Luque been controlled on the mat. We've seen Luque been taken down, and we've seen Chiesa look amazing at 170 pounds. I think that it may be a boring strategy where he's going to lay and pray. It's effective at doing it to perfection. Now, you said he had a bet on every single fight. I'm guessing you took the moneyline shot on Chiesa as well?
I did, yes.
What did you get on that?
Plus 110.
Yes. So you're telling me there is a clear path to victory for someone, and they're plus money? Okay. Chiesa, very, very tough as well. So you're telling me that the favorite here is Vicente Luque based on what? Because he gets some brawls and it's entertaining and he knocks people out? Mike, Chisea's not going to get in a brawl. He's going to take you down. That's end of story right there. The problem with Chisea is he only throws out, what, 2 significant strikes per minute? Like, he's very low volume because he's such a takedown dependent. Exactly. He knows what he's good at, and that's why I'm loving him in this spot. You got that fighter who knows what he's good at. He's going to execute his game plan. Perfect. Is Luque the type of guy to stuff 20 takedown attempts? No. He's been taken down so many times before. This is Chisea's spot all day. My favorite underdog play of the week on DraftKings because of that control time, because of those takedowns. 7.7K. I talked about it on my breakdown video with Kieran on PlaysFades. It's his fight. If he executes a game plan, he should very easily win a 15-minute decision. Not very entertaining, but we're getting that control time. We're getting those takedowns. Are you in the same boat?
Yeah, I agree, man. I've broken down this fight like a bunch of times, especially in my head. It's just, to me, it's just, we know what Chiesa's going to do. Chiesa knows what Chiesa's going to do. Chiesa's a smart guy, okay? Vicente, there has been absolutely no evidence, because I've watched some breakdowns, and they're saying, like, okay, if Luque stuffs the takedowns, then he's going to muck Chiesa on the feet. Where's the evidence that Luque is going to stuff the takedowns? Vicente Luque has never faced, I'm not going to say never faced, but has not faced someone that's going to solely try to grapple you. The last time he did was Leon Edwards. Did he win that fight? No. Michael Graves, albeit first UFC fight, giving him a pass. But did he win it? No. Vicente Luque, if you watch the tape, gets taken down in the exact ways that Michael Chiesa tries to take you down. Randy Brown, not a grappler. How do you take him down? He grabbed him, body lock, takedown. That is exactly what Chiesa likes to do. He got taken down by Nico Price, not a grappler, not a wrestler. got taken down. Derek Krantz, plus 750 underdog, took him down, took his back, controlled him for like 2+ minutes before getting knocked out. I understand. If this fight is on the feet the whole time, yes, Luque is minus 10,000. Even though I think that Chiesa's striking is actually getting a little bit better. Again, it's not going to compete with Luque, but I do think that his striking is a work in progress. But what I'm saying is there's no evidence to suggest that Vicente Luque is going to get back up. He's been controlled on the mat. Every time he's faced someone that grapples him heavy, he's lost. I understand it's a long time ago, but where's the evidence that suggests that he's going to do it this time? He hasn't. Look at his matchups. He's facing who? Tyron Woodley. I mean, that's probably the best wrestler he's faced who didn't really try to take him down. One telegraphed takedown. Randy Brown, striker. Nico Price, striker. Stephen Thompson, striker. Everyone that he's fighting recently are strikers that are going to brawl with him. Is Vicente Luque a warrior, a good striker, lots of power? Yes, he is. But Michael Chiesa is not an idiot. Michael Chiesa is going to try to take this fight to the ground, and I think he's going to get this fight to the ground. Vicente Luque's takedown defense isn't the greatest. It's not bad, but it's not great. And he hasn't been faced with this kind of style matchup yet. So can Vicente Luque win? Yes, he can win. But at plus 110, I personally cap Chiesa minus 150. And I just think that he has this clear path to victory at welterweight, albeit it's Carlos Condit, Diego Sanchez, not the greatest, take Neil Magny, Rafael Dos Anjos. These are guys that have paths to victory by pressing him against the cage. But he's landing takedowns. He is doing on tape what I want to see from him. Grapple, control time, good positional awareness. Vicente Luque is getting taken down by Randy Brown one fight ago in an exact way that Chiesa takes you down. Taken down by Nico Price in an exact way that he likes to take people down. So I think the path to victory is clear for Chiesa. I think he knows that if you stay on the feet with Vicente Luque, you're probably going to not have a fun time in the cage. So I think he's going to wrestle him. I think he's going to get him down. And I think once he gets him down, that he's the best grappler that he's faced. I think he can hold him down. He's bigger than Luque. Not by much, but he is bigger, right? This isn't like a 155er coming up to 170 size disadvantage. No, this is a massive guy in Chiesa that I think is on a run right now, albeit Vicente Luque is looking great as well. Vicente Luque can win this fight, but I haven't seen anything on tape that suggests that he's going to stuff the takedowns, he's going to get back to his feet, and then he's going to knock out Chiesa. Because Chiesa, he knows. He's not getting hit either. He's crazy low volume, but how many is he absorbing? 1.7? Because he knows that he's not standing. He knows what he's good at. So I like Michael Chiesa here, 1.5 units, plus 110. I like it. I like it a bunch.
Do you think Chiesa finishes him?
I think it's possible. I'm not going to bank on it. I'm going to pick him by decision because Luque is tough to finish. I do think if you're on Luque, that I think earlier in the week, there was a book plus 1,500 submission. That's crazy. Vicente Luque has a crazy underrated ground game. He could definitely lock up a choke. Chiesa has been sub 3 times. But I think that in this spot, from the data that we have seen on the tape, we see one guy who we know is going to take you down, who's landed multiple takedowns in all of his welterweight fights, who doesn't absorb a lot of strikes because he goes for those takedowns, against a guy who's been taken down by Randy Brown, Nico Price, had his back taken by Derek Krantz, lost his two fights with a grappling heavy approach, and we haven't seen, oh, look at Luque's improvements. He's stuffing all these takedowns. Right? We haven't seen that. Right? So for me, I like Chiesa here. Let's go Maverick.
I'm with you 100%. Lock this in earlier in the week. This was a spot that I've really been eyeing because I love those fighters who have that path to victory and execute it so well. And they're not going to be a guy like Cop with a low fight IQ and not do it. They're going to stick to their plan. That's what they're there to do. They're there to cash their checks for us. And I'm telling you, man, no worries. Telling you, man, this is his fight to lose. He's a great underdog play in DraftKings as well. 7,700 allows you to get my big guys up top, like Munoz, without the H. Speaking of the Munoz with the H, though, the co-main event should be Nunes versus Pena, which sucks because I had 12 parlays with Nunes because it's made of Nunes. I know, Nathan, you also told me to as well, so sucks. But instead, we got Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz. Great fight as well. You have Aldo in ex-champ, King of Rio, absolute brawler, great guy. And a guy, Pedro Munoz, who's been looking great as well. Just asked Rivera's legs. They both got their path to victory. I know that you saw how Aldo looked at the scales. And he never looks good. He never looks good. He never looked good. So if anyone's looking at the weigh-ins and thinks, man, this guy looks drained, always
he filled out so well. I don't know how he makes 135, man. He's so shredded.
I think the King of Rio is back tonight. I think he wants to get back to the top. He looked great against the last time out in Vera. I think Munoz is a better fighter than Vera. I think Munoz is going to cause a lot of problems, but I think Aldo takes this fight. I think he's the rightful favorite here. He's got some good combinations, got some good power, and he's a smart fighter. All right? I know you're on Munoz. Spoiler alert, he's on Munoz. Okay? Screw you. That's fine. They go head-to-head on someone. That's okay. I don't really care. Tell me why, and I'll yell at you and say some random things and pretend to care. All right.
Okay. Five points.
5.
Pace.
Wow.
Pace.
This is a PowerPoint?
Pace, pressure, cardio, durability, volume. All right, hear me out. If you were to build, okay, if I was to say to you, here's Jose Aldo, watch all his fights, okay? And I said, okay, you can pick any archetype in the world to beat Jose Aldo. What do you want your fighter to do against Jose Aldo?
Conor McGregor.
Fair enough. I want someone who's going to put pace and pressure on him and be able to take a punch to the face hard.
Yep. So,
to me, in terms of the grappling, Aldo probably the best takedown defense in history. Like, he's just so good at takedown defense. So good. So I don't think Munoz will shoot any takedowns. I see a comment here that Aldo wants to go to the ground. He's already mentioned it. I honestly don't think that he's going to be able to. I think Munoz has very good takedown defense, and Munoz is like a little scrambly little guy that's not going to get taken down. All right.
What did I tell you earlier in the week, though? What did I tell you earlier in the week?
What did you tell me earlier in the week?
I told you earlier in the week. You're like, oh, I have a few fears with betting Munoz. And I'm like, all right, if the fear is that he's going to get backpacked the same way that Vera got backpacked, it's a possibility.
Not a fear. No. That's not.
But you shouldn't have to worry about it. Oh, it's definitely a possibility. I think that Aldo's got a very underrated ground game. I don't think it's going to go there. I think that I don't think Aldo's going to want to go to. I know he said he does. I don't know if that's true in terms of like him actually meaning it. I think that if it does go to the ground, he can hold his own. Like he said it himself, great takedown defense, which means doesn't want to go there in the first place.
And he's got a guillotine, man.
Oh, but he's I'm telling you, his ground game is underrated. The problem with this one is I have Munoz being levels above of Marlon Vera. Mm-hmm. All right, keep going. Your PowerPoint.
Yeah, so like to me, it's just that okay. So here we go. So Jose Aldo, very good fighter. He's not washed by any means. He's not washed. Very good counter striker. Very good hooks to the body. It's just the way that I see this fight going is just that Pedro Munoz is going to get in his face, right? Pedro Munoz puts pace. He puts pressure on you, right? And Aldo hasn't really done well with that in the past. I mean, he slows down late in fights. I think if this fight gets to round 3, that Munoz wins round 3 at probably a 90% clip. Albeit I do think Aldo probably wins round 1 at like a 70-80% clip. It's just, if we look at Aldo's run at bantamweight so far, right? His fight against Marlon Vera, wins the first round, looks good, okay? Wins the second, loses the second round, excuse me. And the Tide's like, oh no, Aldo's done, Vera's going to take over, and then he backpacks him, right? So very smart from Aldo, but I don't think that's going to happen in this fight. So I rule out that third round. What I'm taking from that fight is that the trajectory was going against him. Why? Why was it going against him? Because he starts to get tired, right? I know he fills up well, but it's still Jose Aldo over the years seems like he's got less and less in the tank as fights go on. Okay, so that tide was turning bad for him. Okay, and Marlon Vera is a slow starter. Marlon Vera loses pretty much every single round 1 ever, and then he turns it on. Munoz is going to give it from the beginning. He's going to go at you from the beginning. So now, although if he's getting tired in that Vera fight, how is Aldo going to look in the middle of the second round, in the third round, when he has a guy in his face? I'll concede. Jose Aldo is a much more technical striker than Pedro Munoz all day. Much better striker. But that pace, that pressure, that dog in Munoz, the ability to take a shot, I mean, I don't think Aldo is built for those matchups, right? Against Yan. Everyone's saying he looked so great against Yan. He did. He looked great against Yan. He took a round off Yan. But what does Yan do? Yan also starts slow, right? And then he drowns you as the fight goes later. In the Aljamain Sterling fight, right? He was losing the first round and then he started to pick it up. Yan starts slow. In the Marlon Moraes fight, right? I don't think there was a robbery at all. I see a lot of people saying that was a robbery. I completely disagree. If you watch that third round, yes, Jose Aldo's doing all the advancing, but he's not throwing. He's throwing nothing. So now Jose Aldo is not throwing volume, right? He's not throwing that much volume. Look at the Volkanovski fight. This guy loses the fight because he's just not throwing. He's just not at all, right? So I don't think Aldo's washed at all. I just think his cardio is getting much worse, that it's taking away from his skill set as a fighter. I think it's taking away from his skill set with a fighter because Munoz is going to be in your face in the beginning. So far from what we've seen from Jose Aldo in bantamweight fights is that he's losing later on. He's losing later on in the fight. The Vera fight, he's losing. As that fight's getting extended, the tide is turning. Again, if he doesn't backpack him, he's probably going to lose that fight. So if Aldo doesn't get him out of there in round one, then Munoz is going to be on the gas. He's going to be pressuring him, and Aldo doesn't like that. Can Aldo land? Yes, he can land, and he's probably going to piece up Munoz in that first round. It's going to be a very scary first round. He's going to get hit with hard shots. It's a live bet opportunity. It's a very good live bet opportunity, but I also think that Pedro Munoz winning round one is not out of the realm of possibility. I really don't, because he's not a slow starter. So far, Aldo is fighting slow starters in his last bantamweight fights. Munoz is not a slow starter. Now, I don't think he's going to have that much success with the leg kicks because Aldo checks them well. Again, it's harder to check the calf kicks, but again, it's really hard for me to think that someone's going to beat Jose Aldo by calf kicks. It's really not something I think, but I don't think that grappling is going to be in this fight at all. And again, pace, pressure, getting in his face, putting a pace on him. Like, I think it's unquestionable that if this fight gets to round 3, I think you can concede Jose Aldo's going to lose round 3. I'm sure you're banking on him winning the first 2 and surviving. Yeah. Right? Unless he just wants to backpack Unless he knocks him out. But again, it's easy to say that, yes, Jose Aldo hits very hard. But we can't say that Jose Aldo is going to knock out Pedro Munoz because he hits hard. I don't think he is. No. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that's not an angle that I take because Pedro Munoz has shown to be completely durable, be able to take a strike. Now, I understand he gets hit a lot, right? He's kind of like he gets hit a lot, right? But again, Aldo's not a guy that throws a ton of volume, right? Pedro Munoz throws much more significant strikes per minute. Pedro Munoz is going to be the guy walking forward. He's going to be the guy throwing. So even if Aldo's getting the better of those exchanges, Pedro Munoz still might look better in the eyes of the judges, right? Because he's going to be the guy going forward. He's going to be the guy initiating the action, right? So to me, he throws more volume. He puts on a pace and pressure. He's got better cardio to go 15 minutes. And he's durable. He can take the shots. Like, if you're telling me how to beat Jose Aldo, I want someone who's going to put pressure and pace on him and is very durable. I just want a better version of Pedro Munoz, a more technical version of Pedro Munoz. So while I do think that Jose Aldo is the better striker and probably the better fighter, I think that Pedro Munoz should be favored because we've seen that Jose Aldo's cardio over the years. You can even, if you watch his fights, it's clear he's slowing down earlier. It goes from like he slows down at the 12-minute mark. Now it's the 10-minute mark. Now it's the 8-minute mark. He was gassing in the Vera fight. And again, in the Vera fight, he's only landing 44 significant strikes through 2 rounds. That's not a lot of volume. It's not a lot of volume. So I just think that Munoz's pace and pressure and the ability to take shots, I think he's going to win rounds 2 and 3. I think he's going to win round 2 and 3 or even finish him. So I have 2 bets on this fight. I have Pedro Munoz straight, one unit at plus 110, and I also have him 0.5 units to win by decision at plus 240, just because I think that line's way off. That's just a line thing. If Pedro Munoz knocks him out, I'm perfectly fine with it. It's just plus 240. I think Munoz probably wins by decision. I mean, Aldo is durable, right? Like, he had a flush head kick from Marlon Moraes, and Pedro Munoz isn't like a power puncher, right? Only 5 wins by KO, right? So I do think he probably wins by decision or third round when Aldo's gas, but I think Aldo can hang in there. But I just think that Pedro Munoz's ability to bring the fight to Aldo, to get in his face, to not let Aldo get off on his technical striking, to not get off on his own calf kicks, I think that's going to be enough here. It's kind of like I just think so. I think the way to beat Aldo is to get in his face, make it dirty, not technical. You're not going to win a 15-minute kickboxing match against Jose Aldo. The guy is one of the most skilled fighters I've ever seen. But he's going to be in his face. He's going to be throwing. Aldo is going to get tired. That is a fact. So if Aldo does not dismantle him in that first round, I think Pedro Munoz takes over. Plus money. I like it. Go Pedro Munoz.
All right. That was a You know what? That was fun. Okay, yeah, I think it's not only his name. I also think it's his technical abilities. I think that it's the fact that the matchup's not good for him. I think that Aldo still is a better fighter. I think that the matchup could cause problems. I just, I don't, I don't, I still, I still, I still think that Tisha Torres will win inside the distance. No, I'm just messing with you. No, he had some very, very good points. The big part about this for me is Pedro Munoz isn't going to take Jose Aldo out of there. He's going to pressure him, and what does Aldo like to do? He likes to counter strike. That's why he doesn't throw any volume. He's going to be forced to throw volume. So I agree, he'll be gassed quicker. I think that being forced to throw volume, being forced to counter strike, being forced to be pressured, being forced to maybe shoot for a takedown, because that's what he said he wants to do. That's going to force him to fight a completely different style than you're expecting him to fight. You're expecting him to let himself be pressured, let himself just shell up, and let himself take that pace. Or I think that you may, in return, you might get some more counter punches, some better looks. And I don't care how durable someone is. No one's like perfect, right? It takes one perfect shot to fall asleep. Ask, oh, why am I horrible with names today? Barbosa. Guy fought Edson Barbosa and got knocked out.
Burgos? Yeah.
Burgos. Everyone's like, this guy's got an iron chin. He's not getting knocked out. Don't care. Sometimes volume catches up to you.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So, whereas I think it's completely valuable, I think the line should be closer. I don't think that Aldo should be that big of a favorite, and that's why I'm not playing it. I don't think that you can count out... Sorry, I think that Jose Aldo should still be the favorite despite not being this wide. You know what I mean? What did I tell you? What line did I need to play Jose Aldo this week? Remember what I told you?
Pick him?
I need minus 115.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not going to get there. That's fine. I think that the name actually is a part of it. Anthony just said that. But again, it's one of these things where it could go so many different ways. Your PowerPoint, you did a great job. Good job. I am going to still edge with Aldo here. I'm excited to go head-to-head. I hope your bet's cash because I have nothing riding on it. I'm going to have very little DraftKings ownership. I think that if you are on the Munoz side, he's better than a lot of dogs out there because he will go the full rounds and he will have a higher floor than a lot of other fighters. So I think that if you are playing DraftKings and you are on the Munoz side, get both Munozes in there, H or no H. That's my thoughts. I think that if you are backing Aldo to win, I wouldn't really play him either because it's so hard to put away a guy like Munoz. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's hard. All right. Great breakdown. Good job. How are we feeling?
In event time.
You ready?
Second leg of the parlay, Derek Lewis. Let's go.
No, you ready? You ready for this? I'm this close to placing a bet on Derek Lewis to win inside the distance. You want to know why? You want to know why?
Don't bet him by money line. Might as well play him by KO.
Oh, 100%. Do you want to know why? It's because Gane is the better striker. He's the better everything. He is the better everything. But Derek Lewis is cooler. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm playing.
No.
The thing is, Derek Lewis has this weird fire in him that he's just going out there to be crazy. He looks okay considering how Derek Lewis is. And for some reason, I have this weird feeling that Gane's going to be terrified. And it's going to be a very, very boring affair. And what happens in Houston? You win rounds for anything. Especially if you're Derek Lewis. I think that it's going to get to the point... No, I think it's get to the point... I think it's get to the point where he's winning rounds to the point where... Okay, let's get that out of the way. It's going to be a super boring fight. I have such low hopes for it because I know how smart Gane is. He is a extremely smart fighter. And he knows that if he's going to win, he's probably going to point fight. He's not going to really finish the later rounds. He doesn't want to get into the range because he'll get hit. I mean, he got hit times by Volkov. It's not going to be... He absorbed the same time. Lewis, I don't know if it's going to end the same way. Gane should minus 500 favorite here, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Lewis, the guy with this insane power, guy who always manages to pull a win out of his ass. No reason to say it other than the fact that he has that one punch KO power. That should happen. I think that Gane is the winner. I think that Gane wins 99% of the time. But I have this weird feeling, man. I have this feeling that it's going to be so close, so boring, that Gane's going to feel like he has to engage, and he has to engage. And he's going to think Derek Lewis is hurt. You're going to hear... Actually, no, Joe Rogan got kicked off the commentating squad, didn't he? He's not there this week. You're going to hear commentators go... Yeah, he got replaced by Dominic Cruz this week. Yeah, he's not... I don't think he's commentating this week. I have no idea. I think he's just not chosen. Anyways, I don't think you're going to hear Rogan say it. I think it's going to be... You're going to hear them go, oh, he's hurt. He's hurt. And then Gane's going to go in to finish Lewis, and Lewis is going to go and swing his fist around him. No. If we're being serious about it, Gane wins this fight in a very, very boring 25-minute tactical affair or a late finish. Derek Lewis, unless he is this transformed human being, his only path to victory is a one-punch KO, and we know how smart Gane is. He's green, but he is smart. So, you're either going to bet Gane at the huge price tag, parlay him like everyone else is doing, because that's the smart play, right? Derek Lewis does not care. His balls are hot, and so are our betting cards. I know you're on Gane. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, so Cyril Gane does close the second leg of my parlay, just because I wouldn't play him at the number now, like minus 400, but I got him at minus 265,
Fair.
which is very good price in my opinion. Parlay with the Tisha Angela fight to go the distance, and I got minus 130 on that. I feel like that's like solid for two like 80% plus outcomes. It's just, again, I know everyone's heard the same breakdowns, right? It's just, you're never gonna find another person in the MMA betting community that is as high on Cyril Gane as me. I don't care that he's had 9 pro fights. This guy fights like he's had 200 pro fights. Cyril Gane, in my opinion, is coming for that number 1 pound for pound spot. I really think that this guy is the evolution. I think this guy is the evolution at heavyweight. I understand Derek Lewis can land that big bomb. I understand. But I don't think it's as black and white as if Derek Lewis lands a punch, Cyril Gane is going to sleep. I just don't think it's that simple.
It is
I
not that
I don't
simple.
think I'm going to see Derek Lewis one significant strike KO. Like, I just don't see that happening.
Okay.
Right?
I hope you don't get that from me. What I'm trying to say is, don't count out a guy like Lewis.
I mean, you can never count out Derek Lewis, man. But Derek Lewis is not a good fighter. Derek Lewis is not a good fighter.
No, he's not a good fighter at all. He's got one path to victory, and that's landing one shot that's going to get you a knockout. And that's why he's tied to the most knockouts in UFC history. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I also have another bet on Gane. I think you might be a little bit ooh, interesting. I have Gane inside the distance here, man. At plus 105.
No, I completely see it.
And I actually think this is one of the sharpest bets on the card, man. I'm turning a minus 400 favorite into a plus 105, and I understand. Cyril Gane not going to want to take risks. Stay on the outside, pick him apart, right? But let's be real for a second. Does anyone think that Derek Lewis is going to be on the outside getting picked up with a jab for 25 minutes and just let that happen? No.
Jorginho Rosa strike
Lewis,
style.
if he's getting beat up, 2 things are going to happen. 1, he's going to rush in, hope for a bomb, and get countered and KO'd or landed. Or Derek Lewis is going to give up, like we've seen him do in the past. Derek Lewis has never been to a 5th round. Derek Lewis has never lost via decision in the UFC. And I cannot see Derek Lewis being like a Rosenstruck, being like a Volkov, just letting this stuff happen. He's in his hometown. He said in like every interview I've watched that win, lose, or draw, he wants to make it exciting. He called Gane a boring fighter, and he wants to make it exciting. And I just don't think that let me be straight. Derek Lewis is a genius at finding that one shot. Right? He's a genius at finding that one shot. But again, Gane has a chin. Gane is go watch his fights. That guy can take a shot. He can take a shot. He can. And I do think that Cyril Gane, the biggest thing I see from this fight is the body kicks. Derek Lewis is not durable to the body. He's not. Cyril Gane digs his toes into your midsection. And over 25 minutes, a heavyweight main event with fans. I get that people are saying, like, even what you said, like, Cyril Gane has him hurt. He tries to go in for the finish, gets hit. I'm sorry. I disagree because I think Cyril Gane has the highest fight IQ in the UFC.
Oh, 100. He's a genius.
I think this guy, I'm serious. I think this guy is in a couple years, maybe sooner, is going to be the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. I'm so high on this guy. I think he's literally an evolution. He is so technically good. And yes, he makes mistakes, right? It's not, I get he has good defense, but he can be hit. It's not like the guy cannot be hit. He can be hit. But you're not going to block 100% of strikes. And I think Cyril Gane is going to pick apart Derek Lewis like everyone thinks. And I think that if Derek Lewis gets annoyed and starts rushing at him, that he's going to walk into a counter strike by Gane, because Gane is so mobile on his bike moving. I don't think he's going to ever be in a position, right? Remember, Derek Lewis is flat-footed. He's flat-footed, so the time it takes for him to close the distance, Gane's going to be gone. Gane's going to have shuffled to the other side of the octagon by then. And I think that those body kicks, I think that the fact that Lewis, once he gets into deeper waters, is probably like, this is going really bad. He's either going to go for it and get countered, or he's going to give up. Right? He's just going to crumble. And I just think that Cyril Gane makes a statement here. I get it. He's gone to 2 decisions recently. I understand that he's not the hardest hitter in the world. But Derek Lewis is not durable to the body. Derek Lewis has never been to a 5th round. Derek Lewis is never lost by a UFC decision. Derek Lewis is in his hometown. He's not going to lose a 50-45 decision. I don't see it. Right? So the under, I think, is a really good bet. But I just don't want to lay -200 in case Gane does do what you were describing. I like turning a -400 into a +105, and then also parlaying him with the Torres Hill. Gane, 4th round, body kick, TKO. Book it.
Real quick, if you have, I think it's FanDuel round, you can get Gane to win either 4th round, 5th round, or by decision at plus money. I don't think it's plus money anymore.
Wow, I need to
but
get
you
that
can
book,
get.
Man.
You can get.
Those 4 or 5
we're Canadians.
are so clutch.
We're Canadians. We can't get that book. I know.
Yeah, man, I just think Gane
Sucks.
is #1 pound for pound. I get it's Derek Lewis. I understand it's Derek Lewis, but
All right. Final prediction: Derek Lewis by sub.
Yeah, like I was considering either what I said or Derek Lewis by flying triangle. Jimmy, what's his name? Jimmy Flick style. But
you know what? I think there's something up with Derek Lewis. I don't know what it is, but he is not himself. No, I think that you got to be more confident. I think he's going to screw up. I think he's going to balls to the wall, and I think he's going to end up on the wrong side of it.
I agree.
But for some reason, the golden rule I have is I am never betting against Derek Lewis.
I get it, man.
Bro, I cashed a what? I think it was like +250 ticket on. I had 2 units on Lewis to beat Curtis Blades, and everyone thought I was crazy. Just because I have the golden rule, you just don't bet against Derek Lewis. he's as much as he has a meme. He's the same thing. He just has a path to victory.
In that position.
He will not. You are 100% right. I am picking Gane to win. Gane will win this fight. Here first. But I'm not putting money against it because
I respect it.
Derek Lewis is one of a kind.
Yeah, you can't really cap him.
He doesn't care about stats.
He is so bad. Like, he's not good
at all. He's so bad.
Although I do think he's made improvements, but I'm going to bet Cyril Gane against Derek Lewis. I bet Cyril Gane in pretty much every fight since I've been betting. And I'm going to bet him against Ngannou. When he comes out as a +160 dog, I'm going to bet him. I'm going to bet him hard. Because Cyril Gane is the future. Cyril Gane is going to be the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world.
Does he beat John Jones in a fight?
I mean, I think if anyone's going to beat John Jones, man, I think Cyril Gane. Okay, actually, no. Francis could just nuke him, so never mind. But I think skill wise, I think Gane can give him a good fight. I think it could be a really good fight.
I need you to remember, man, Francis Ngannou lost to Derek Lewis. So MMA math.
Even if the Gane bet misses, man, just seeing Derek Lewis with a belt wrapped around his waist, getting that last interview in his hometown, man, I think it'll wipe the pain away.
Yeah, but I don't want to see Lewis versus Ngannou fight again, especially in a 25 rounder. Like, I love Derek Lewis, entertaining fight, but that last fight was I think that for the sport, for everything, there's nothing better than game to win, and that's what's going to happen. But
Nope.
Dana White will shit his pants if Lewis just drops him. If Derek Lewis is going to go out there, shoot for a takedown, grab a choke right away, and the world's going to set on fire. It's going to be horrible. Did I lose ya? There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, I'm telling you, world's going to set on fire. Derek Lewis going to shoot for a takedown, grab a neck. Okay, no, all seriousness, guys. All seriousness. I'm going Gain by decision, but honestly, inside the distance works as well, just because of all the points you said. And if you're Gain too, you want to prove something. I know he's smart enough to not let that get to him. He's a very, very smart guy. Any of his interviews, absolute genius.
I think he's special, man. He's special.
All right, that wraps up the breakdown of the card. I know you're not a big DFS guy, so I'm just gonna crank through this real quick. Favorite plays of the week on DraftKings. As if you didn't see my video a few days ago, well, no, last night. Munoz without the H against Simmons, first fight of the night. He's my favorite pay-up option. I do not mind Menafield and GPPs. I don't think he's the best cash option because, like we said, some people say he's first round or bust. I think he's probably the same way, but I don't like Herman that much anyways. Pay-down options, Chizé as the underdog of the week, or so we think, with takedowns, control time. I think he wins this fight as well. That's our pay-down option. Don't hate me for this, but I'm not minding Leonardo at on DraftKings either.
I got Carolina, so I can't really talk shit about low level women's MMA at this point.
I think the best bet of the card on my end is going to be that Chizé bet. I think that Chizé should not be the dog. That's my favorite play.
Yep.
You want to go over your bets real quick?
Yeah. So I got 8 bets on the 9 bets. Wait, 3, 6, 9 bets on the card. So first fight of the night, I got a bet Johnny Munoz versus Jamie Simmons. Fight does not go to decision. 1.5 units at -130. Again, think Munoz finishes him inside the distance, but covering Simmons' win condition. Then we got Karolina Kowalkiewicz moneyline, 1.5 units at -125. Just think that taking away all that narrative that she's done, she's retired. She's a much bigger favorite here, and I think stylistically it's a really good matchup for her. Then we got the last prelim bet is Osborne versus Manel Kape. Fight does not go to decision. 1 unit -105. I think both guys have high finishing upside, high finishing potential, and are finishers, right? 93 and 88% finish rates. On the main card, we've got Angela Hill wins by decision, 0.5 units +200. Simply bet based on line value. And I've got a parlay with Tisha Torres, Angela Hill fight goes to decision. Parlay with Cyril Gahn money line -130, 1.75 units on that. Really like the -130 there. And then I got Michael Chiesa, 1.5 units at +110. Just think that he's got a clear path to victory, and I think that the tape suggests that Luque hasn't dealt well with grapplers, hasn't been stuffing takedowns, hasn't really shown that he can stuff these takedowns that Chiesa is going to throw at him. And then Pedro Munoz moneyline +110, 1 unit on that, and Munoz wins by decision, 0.5 units +240. So that's my betting slate. With you on Cape Osborne under, think Osborne push. I agree. That's exactly what I said earlier. It's just I think that Osborne is a guy, right? He hasn't been out of the first round in a while, pushes forward, brings the pace, and Kape's not a guy to just sit back and be like, oh, okay, you can hit me. He's going to come back too, right? He's got 93% finish rate himself. So love the under there. And yeah, those are my bets. Hoping to bounce back with a winning night. Excited for the night of fights, UFC 265. And yeah, man. It was a lot.
Just before I head off, I'd like to point out the fact that 73% of the money in all the sport books is on Derek Lewis to win the fight. Just saying.
I mean,
Just saying.
I really hope not, man. Derek Lewis
by KO has been bet down to +375.
Cyril Gahn's winning the fight, guys.
I know he is. I'm just saying.
Actually, I don't want to say that, man. Last time I said that, Kyle Dawkins gassed out in 1 round. So
Also confirmed Derek Brunson versus Darren Till. That's confirmed as well. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. My bets this weekend. That's what I was doing on my phone. See, I gotta write them down because I don't know how many units I put in exactly. All right. I got a few bets as well. I locked in Munoz Munoz inside the distance first bet of the night. I got my plus 130 on that.
that's a great
I
line,
then locked
man.
it. I know. Got to be early on him. I locked in Victoria Leonardo at plus 120 for a unit there as well. I have a parlay for plus money, just I think it's like plus 103 for Munoz and Menafield, placed early in the week. Plus 110 on Chizea. And then I have those 2 units on Viziev straight pretty much because he was parlayed with Strickland. And a couple of units on Casey Kenny at minus 110. I am going to add a couple more. I'm liking the under in the... where is it?
Morales, Jocko.
Yes. Oh, I can't find it on my app. Uh-oh. There it is. Okay, the under in that fight is going to be total rounds 2.5 plus 120. I think I'm going to take that one. I'm also debating if I want to play Tisha Torres or just throw in my Hail Mary. But that's going to wrap it up for us. Nice 2-hour stream. Some good laughs. Some good betting breakdowns. Everyone go make sure... Actually, this is your channel, though, so everyone knows who you are. Hopefully by next time we do this, I will have my YouTube account ready to stream from there as well. Make sure to check out my Twitter page. If anyone wants to make some free money, I'm doing just a $25 free entry contest. Just like my YouTube video at PlaysFades, and then just comment your DraftKings username down below. Send an invite right away. This contest locks in like an hour and 20 minutes. So let's get our lineups in there. See if you can take on me and Phoenix over here. See if we can. You guys are better than us. No matter what it is, we're better looking, right? That's what matters. Thank you guys for tuning in. 2 hours. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And we will talk to you guys later. All right. Thank you very much. Let's make some money.